What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to another Flex's View, man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What has happened this evening? What have I missed? Got back from a long day, long days filming, morning show this morning, had Flecknology problems with that. Talk Sport 2 earlier on today, my guy Semolard. And obviously the take on at 5 as well. Had some stuff to do in there with Anton Fernand and Danny Murphy. Good show. But in the meantime, I missed an awful lot. I think it's fair to say. All of this stuff coming out about Sheikh Jassim, basically playing us. Let's cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase of what's been said. Ben Jacobs coming with a really powerful piece. Apparently Sheikh Jassim's camp has hit back since then. And I know all you guys would have been seeing everything that's happened so far. But we got to go through it, and I got to go through it properly. I didn't want to rush. I was at the end of TalkSport and wanted to do a quick reaction on the phone, and I thought, you know what, the hustle and bustle, it's busy. I'm not taking in this information properly. Let me get back, sort myself out, and do this video properly, because I think it's important not to, scapegoat or say this and say that and just act off wild accusations. And essentially, none of it matters because, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have won. But this is just really interesting to just think, the whole fan base, large portions of the fan base, me included, were in sort of this Team Qatar. And I want to just dissect how people are feeling about this news. Does anyone care? Seems like on social media, a lot of people care. Do some people feel played, lied to? Are some people a little bit skeptical and cautious about what's happened? But there is some real sort of federal legal weight by what's being reported of where it's not lies. Like, it's real life evidence on real life situations that have to be reported. And there are serious ramifications for doing this wrong. So let's get into what's happened. Let me just go back. Let's go to the start and let's get to Ben Jacobs. And Ben Jacobs said this, and I've got my Flecknology. It's on my other screen, yeah? Let me just Doctor Strange it. It's on my other screen. Ben Jacobs says, fascinating and juicy detail revealed on Man United's sale process. Bidder A, which was Sheikh Jassim, formally withdrew on October the 15th, 2023. The Qatar bid consistently failed to provide customary, and this is quote, customary financing commitment letters throughout, and there is no mention of pledged investment. Several sources close to the sale had said repeatedly that the reality of Qatar's offer did not match the PR. In short, because there's a lot more to come, basically how loud the PR was, right, about Qatar's bid and what they were going to offer and all the strength of it and the money behind it, it wasn't matched with what the actual reality of the bid was. So basically, the bid was the PR was louder than the actual bid. He goes on to say, SEC filings also stress the board made it clear equal per share consideration for A and B shares was necessary, and the Qatar bid failed to do this. Representatives of Manchester United continue to inform bidder A, and this is from the actual legal report, by the way. Representatives from Manchester United continue to inform bidder A, Sheikh Jassim, that the board of directors was not prepared to move forward with a transaction whereby the holders of Class A shares received less per share consideration than the holders of Class B shares, and that the board of directors would require sufficient evidence of the financing and customary financing commitment papers. It's also confirmed that Jim Ratcliffe pivoted to his current structure in July 2023. That bit marries up with the piece that we did with David Hellier. Remember that exclusive piece we brought you at the time when he said Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid as it was then, is dead in the water, as it was. What they were basically saying was that he had to pivot to a new style, a new structure of bid in order to comply with, like you said, the Class A shares and Class B shares. Because we all saw, and I spoke to a minority investor as well on Bloomberg, who said, yes, it's true. They were going to end up suing the Glazers if they were going to get cut out of the deals, and the people who held the B shares weren't treated as the same as the A shares, etc., etc. It also goes on to say Rain were contacted by over 170 potential suitors, with 26 parties signing NDAs, 19 of which requested process letters. 10 parties expressed initial and formal interest, 7 of which proposed minority investment, and 8 made it to the second round. It's worth noting it is a regulatory requirement to be as truthful as possible in these filings. So basically what they're saying is that whilst Man United fans, a lot of Man United fans, and I'm going to speak for myself, and I know a lot of you guys, were in a frenzy saying this is the best bid, it's got the most money, it's this, it's that. What Ben Jacobs is saying, what the findings are showing, is that it wasn't matching up with what was been said in terms of the actual structure of their bid. And he also goes on to say, just a reminder on SEC filing rules also, SEC filing say, any information you do provide must be truthful to the best of your knowledge or belief. A person who is found to have knowingly and willfully submitted false, fictitious and or fraudulent statements to SEC may be subject to criminal sanctions under federal law. Now, this is where, actually, and then let me go to a little bit of more of an update on that with from Ben Jacobs. He's been doing brilliant work across this. He's been spot on with a lot of stuff. This is what he said later on after this initial revelation. Those close to Sheikh Jassim refute SEC filings outlining far lower bids than widely reported throughout the Man United takeover process, under 5 billion. That was also in there, that they were basically saying actually they did put a bid of under 5 billion, which wasn't what was being said by their side, according to these reports. And deny any failure to provide proof of funds. They indicate they gave all the necessary financial commitments, including a bank guarantee signed by the CEO of the Qatar National Bank. Qatar maintained their final written offer was just short of $6 billion, with $6 billion with $1.3 billion in additional investment, and this was specified in written form. They add that Sheikh Jassim was willing to go higher, but pulled out because he believed he was being played or fleeced. The SEC filings numbers and narrative strongly contradicts this. As previously outlined, those close to the sale process insist if the above numbers were accurate, they would have gladly accepted the Qatar offer. Now, that's a lot to compute. It's an awful lot to compute. My instant thought is, have we been played? Was Sheikh Jassim and Qatar taking us for a ride all along? Then you don't want to trust the Glazers as well. You know, is this the Glazers just, you know, putting this out now because they want to throw Qatar under the bus now and all this stuff? And I know there's been some suggestions, some people are sort of saying, no, like this is the Glazers just trying to turn this into a positive for them and throw Qatar under the bus. And there's a lot of people, quite rightly so, saying you can't argue with a legally bounded document that literally is the truth. Like, if you don't know what SEC filings are, they're forms that outline the company's history, equity, subsidiaries, organizational structure, audited financial statements, and other relevant information. Companies are required to submit this filing within 90 days after the end of the fiscal year, of their fiscal year. Sorry. This is a real thing. Like, you can't fake this. Like, this isn't like, and all respect to these journalists I'm just mentioning off the top of my head. This isn't Mike Hegan saying a story. This isn't Laurie Whitwell writing a piece in The Athletic. This isn't Samuel Luckhurst writing at the Manchester Evening News, oh, sources say this. This is a legal binding document that must be completed by organisations to outline, you know, their history, their equity, just the structure, the financial statements. You can't fake this. So with what they're saying these are the real findings of what's happened. And I ain't gonna lie, this is a mess, because this does feel like we've been lied to. That's my initial thought. You can't go all in and say 100% Qatar frauds and all stuff like that. I'm not gonna go that far. Because the truth of the matter is, also, I'm no financial expert, and I think when these things are on social media, when these things are on X, and, you know, there's a lot of court of public opinion on social media, as we've seen, it can go south. People who don't have a clue about how these things work, everyone has an opinion, me included. I'm no expert in this at all. I just make an informed opinion on some of the evidence I see, and we all come to different conclusions of that. So I think it's really unwise, in my opinion, to start saying, oh, it's just not true, it's all fake. But also, you'd be kind of naive to argue with like legally binding facts as well. So there's a lot of stuff to unpick here, which we'll probably never know the truth of. Qatar are obviously going to have their right to defend themselves, which they have. And they're saying that, you know, we completely refute that. They're widely, you know, that's wrong. You know, Qatar maintained that the final written offer was short of 6 billion. So it is one word against the other. And ultimately, none of it really matters because, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has won and Ineos have won. But it does sort of, it feels like a pie in the face. My initial feeling. And we'll keep across this just out of curiosity, I suppose. Some of you may switch off and be like, don't care. It isn't Qatar. The dream was over. You know, some people may feel typical Glazers. The club are trying to, or the Glazers are trying to, you know, make Qatar look bad and smear that part of the world. Also, it's about integrity. Sheikh Jassim and his camp are probably trying to and I know the Qataris to be very proud people, very diligent about how they carry out their business, from seeing some things firsthand, from spending some time out there. You know, they're going to want to make sure that their name isn't driven through the mud as well. So they are going to refute these claims. The truth is that it looks very damning. That's what I will say. It looks very damning. KG said that about his thumbnails the other day. This is even worse. This looks very, very damning because, you know, like I said, the SEC filings are literally something that you can't argue with. You know, it's there. Do you know what I mean? Let me look at some of the stuff I've got coming through as well. Oh, this is from Matt Hughes from the Daily Mirror, I believe. Actually, is this Daily Mirror? Sorry, Daily Mail. Anthony Martial told to train alone to improve fitness before he will be considered for selection by Ten Hag. Man United striker is not injured but not deemed fit enough to train with his teammates 5 weeks after illness. I mean, does it ever stop at United? That's just caught me while I'm recording this video, and Owen's just hit me with that. I'll do that bit in a minute. I'll do that bit in a minute. There's just never a moment's rest, is there? There's never a moment's rest at Man United. There really, really isn't. And a lot of people are in their feelings with this. Some people have called it, you know, absolute nonsense. But I just don't see how you can literally argue with the filings. It's like an independent commission coming in and saying, right, we're going to do a deep dive into this. We're going to do, you know, reveal our findings after a certain amount of time. And we're going to basically reveal the whole sale process. And it's not lies because we're the governing body that takes care of this, especially for America as well. And according to Wikipedia, the SEC filing is a financial statement or other formal document submitted to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Public companies, certain insiders and broker dealers are required to make regular SEC filings. Investors and financial professionals rely on these filings for information about companies they are evaluating for investment purposes. Hence why Manchester United wanted to know what they're saying, and hence why Manchester United also would have had to, Sheikh Jassim would have also had to submit this to SEC as well, because Manchester United want to know what Sir Jim is on, and they want to know what Qatar are on, or the Glazers want to know that. It also says many but not all SEC filings are available online through the SEC's Edgar database. So it's all there. It's not, do you know what I mean? It's real. It really, really is real. And it's all there. So if you're not sure what SEC is, just put it in on Google. It's right there. It's a massive, massive organization and a massive sort of part of the regulatory mechanisms that are in place to make sure these things are above board for huge situations. But yes, I think people are going to have their say on this. Some people are just kind of refuting the damning evidence that has been put in front of them. That's up to them. But I think it looks very damning. And I do feel a little bit played. That's how I feel right now. Let's see how this transpires. It might just go away because at the end of the day, does it really matter anymore? But it definitely caused a frenzy today. It definitely was a big, big talking point. And a load of people were saying, so Man United fans were just sold down the river. If it is what essentially is being said, Man United fans were just sold down the river. And that's a concern. Well, I say it's a concern. It's over now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we don't want to spend too much on it, but definitely quite shocking revelations coming out today regarding the Qatari bid. And maybe we'll never know. But if you go by the SEC filings, which, like I said, are legally bounded federal statements, federal findings, federal investigations that need to be accounted for. You can't argue with that. I don't think you can argue with that personally. Maybe we'll never know, but I don't think you can argue with that. David Hughes, like I said, from the Daily Mail, is saying Anthony Martial is currently not considered fit enough to work with the squad, given the intensity and work rate that Erik ten Hag demands of his players in training. Anthony Martial has not trained with his teammates since catching a virus last month and has been asked to train alone to improve his fitness. Interesting. I mean, everyone's going to jump on and say Martial, sick note, get him out of the club, this, that, and the other. It does say that he got a virus, and has he not recovered from that? Let me click the piece and go into it in a little bit more detail, not just look at the aggregator account. So this is an exclusive from Matt Hughes from the Daily Mail. He says, Anthony Martial exiled. Erik ten Hag orders Man United flop. The language is always so strong. Orders Man United flop to train on his own after he failed to regain fitness following illness. So he was fit before, but he's got an illness/virus and he can't get his fitness back, is what it's saying. With the Frenchman out of contract this summer, Dutch manager thinks Martial has not regained fitness after suffering illness. Anthony Martial has been told to train alone. Mail Sport has learned that Martial has not trained with his teammates since picking up a sickness bug last month, which prevented the Frenchman from playing in Man United's 3-0 defeat to Bournemouth on the 9th of December. Ten Hag has given little away when asked about Martial in recent weeks, saying only that he was not fit ahead of the 2-2 draw with Tottenham. It is understood that the 28-year-old is not currently suffering from injury, however, but that he has yet to regain sufficient fitness following last month's illness. Ten Hag's decision on Martial to train on his own is not a disciplinary matter, but reflects his belief in individual training for players lacking match fitness. Martial is currently not deemed to be fit enough to work with the first team group at present, given the intensity and work rate the manager demands from his players. Where else? A number of United players have suffered from sickness bug last month. Marcus Rashford missed Man United's game against Bayern with a bug, with the norovirus. Exactly, a lot of people had that, but returned a few days later to play in the Golden Straw at Liverpool. And individual training for players returning from injury is standard practice at United, but the length of time it's taken Martial to regain fitness has raised eyebrows. And this is what I'm saying. So you have to read the whole article, because it's basically saying he was sick. He was sick for 5 weeks. So that's a strong virus. Is he on antibiotics? Was he on a drip? How badly was he affected by that? And I'm not just trying to give Martial a get-out clause here to just take the heat off him. I'm not. But I need to look at this. You can't just wane in and say, see, he's a disgrace. It's a disciplinary situation. It's not. It's just been said in this that it's not. But it does raise eyebrows by how long it's taken him to get back. Literally raise eyebrows. And I said this, didn't I? Regarding a transfer for him. I was like, well, I didn't want to go too hard on it, because you don't know about someone's personal situation, about the illness they could be going from, so that would be unfair. But I was a bit like, a lot of the other players were back from the illness. How bad is it? Is it because they want to move from him and don't want to risk him, and they want to keep him wrapped up in cotton wool as it is, because to get him out? Or is it something bigger than that? And now we know, or the Mail are claiming with an exclusive, that they seem to know what it is. And that makes sense. Something's going on there. Something's going on. He's been injured he's not injured. He had a virus but hasn't regained his fitness. Something is going on. Whether that thing that's going on is as small as actually it just took the wind out of his sails and he cannot get back to fitness. You know, was it a viral infection? Was it something to do with his lungs, cardiovascular? You know, different viruses hit different people in different ways. I'm not going to be out here pretending to be a doctor and say there's no way that in 5 weeks he shouldn't be back. That's unfair. I ain't a doctor. But it just makes you think maybe it's something more serious then, because how comes he's not back yet? And I don't expect Erik ten Hag to go into any great detail with that, because I get it. It's private matter, but raising eyebrows, I think, is the right phrase there. Raising eyebrows. So we'll see how that plays out. So Martial exiled of training alone. And like I said, these SEC filings have been one to remember. So, yeah, we shall see. We shall see. You tell me where we fleeced. I don't know. I don't know. Where we led down the garden path. I don't know. Who knows? It feels like we was. It feels like we was. That I will say. We'll keep you guys posted if anything more comes out. Anyway, smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Can we get a day's rest at Old Trafford? Can we? Please? Anyway, peace.